Today we are welcoming to our topical conversation Jennifer Day, running for the office of Secretary of State. We appreciate you taking the time to educate voters. Jennifer will make an opening statement, then answer questions prepared in advance. Jennifer, go ahead with your opening statement.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Keith, and for setting this up. I'm so grateful for people who make that effort to help educate voters. It's a big part of my platform. But I'll share a little bit about my background for folks who don't know that I'm a small business owner. I am a former legislator in the state of Kansas. I've lived here for almost 30 years in the northeast part of the state. I made it my home after college because it's where I found opportunity. And I just love it. I love living in Kansas. And I have, for the last better part of the last 10 years, become more and more involved in local politics and figuring out what's happening in Topeka, and that interest has led me to that run for office in 2020, and has guided a lot of my work in the volunteer area of helping to educate voters, whether it's going and knocking doors for candidates, or for the county party, and also working as an election worker for the last 8 years. That's been a really big part of my service to my community. And it's one of the main reasons why I'm running for this office now. I think we've all seen how there have been more and more attacks on election processes across the United States over the last several years, and that's concerning to me. Mostly because, especially here in Kansas, I know how great our election processes are. And it's important, I think, to have someone in this office who has that experience, that hands-on experience of working elections, so that it can better guide policy that will help not only in that the furthering of the idea of figuring out a way to help voters become better educated, but also to make sure that they know and trust the processes that we have in place, and feel more comfortable with their voting experience. So yeah, I think that's the basics about me. The run for office that I did in 2020, I was only in the House of Representatives for 1 year because at the time I was building a house outside of my district. And the house was finished a year later. So I wanted to live in that home. And unfortunately, you cannot live in one district and work for a different one. So I had to resign, and I just look forward to possibly, getting back to Topeka in my new district eventually. But and because I loved the job so much, I didn't realize I'd like it as much as I did. But unfortunately, my current representative also really loves the job. So it's been something I've more focused on, that the element of helping to get volunteers more involved in things like that in my community for the last several years. And then this opportunity arose, and with Scott Schwab, our current secretary, deciding to run for a different office this year, it made the seat an open one. And that makes it very exciting for someone like me. I think the opportunity is there. So really excited uh, to continue campaigning for this office and hopefully win in November.
Thank you, Jennifer. Much appreciated for your opening statement. Question one, how are you going to keep in touch with your constituents?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I know it's a little bit different for, like, when I was in the House of Representatives, my constituency was about 23,000 people. So slightly different for someone who's working in a statewide office. But my plans are, aside from continuing that element of the quality of customer service that we Kansans have come to expect from the office, when we reach out for help, or have questions that we need answered. I'd like to meet Kansans in their communities. So I've got ideas about going out and talking to students in schools, or meeting with chambers of commerce and participating in forums to be able to answer questions that people might have, and listen to feedback about what people's experiences are with the office, so that we can make improvements where needed. But I think it's also really important that we implement a regular public service announcement schedule. So whether, whatever it's focusing on, whether it's voting or business regulation, registration guidelines, requirements, and maybe helping with website navigation. It is a very big and busy website, so that people have an easier time of accessing and finding answers as quickly as possible. So those are a couple of ways I think are the best options for me, both being available in the office, but also making sure that I'm reaching out to the communities directly.
Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer. Question number two. How will you work together? I'm sorry. How will you work to bring people together?
It's a really good question. And I think especially during these kind of divisive times in politics, I can see what the question, it leads towards here. I think that primarily for me, and this is a big thing that I talk about as I campaign, I see this as a nonpartisan office. So it's one of those things, as I've been working as an election worker, it's a very nonpartisan position that you're doing. And so when people are coming in to vote, it's never mattered to me how you're affiliated. I'm just grateful that they're there to be a part of the process. So what I like to tell people is to try to encourage them to, instead of talking about what's on the ballot, why don't we talk about how you look up what is going to be on the ballot? Like, how do you figure out who you're going to be voting for? What your options are, and take that time to to connect with your neighbors and your friends to figure out what their processes are for doing that. But also, I think I like to tell people make a plan to vote together too. You can go and I like to do get brunch first and then go and vote. Or vice versa. And I think that's a great way for people to come together. But my final thing is to maybe suggest that people look at volunteering to work an election in their county. It's a great way to not only connect with your community as you're helping them through that process, but also to work with your neighbors in that effort to help people through the process too. So, lots of different elements that we can do to encourage people that hopefully will take the politics out of the process more and make it more focused on the community.
Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer. And now for question number three. What sets you apart from your opponent?
It's a great question. We hear it a lot. And my primary response is obviously it's my years of experience as a poll worker in my county. So I know how the training process works for poll workers because of that experience. So I've worked 8 years, which means I've worked 15 elections now. And every election, you have to go through a training prior to it, regardless of how many years you've been doing the work, because each county probably does this. And I know that we do it in Johnson County. They make little tweaks here and there that make the voting process a little bit easier. Sometimes we have improvements in equipment and we have to learn about those new changes. So I have that hands-on experience of going through the training and I know how it should be administered. I've seen, the various methods that they've used, whether it's online training, or in-person training and the different methods for that. So I've also had the opportunity to see countless scenarios in that the hands-on situations of meeting various voters going through different uh, situations that they might encounter, whether it's that they recently moved and didn't change their address, or that for some reason their registration is not, in place like they expected it to be. You see all kinds of different things that people come in and experience. And the majority of voters that come through are what we call the perfect voter, which means that they have their ID, they're able to check in without any problems. They get to the machine, they make their vote, and they're out of the door. But it's really important for those of us who've been working for them for many years that we've seen and we have that experience of helping people when we do encounter an issue. So, and I will say this, that my opponent has been working on creating policy that impacts our elections processes without having that hands-on experience. And I think that's led to some problems. It's led to some litigation in some cases that the office has had to deal with. And I think there's a really important aspect of having someone in this position who has the benefit of that experience to help to guide policy that will improve the voting process as well as the administration process for our county clerks across the state. So that's my main thing. I think that the experience is it's a really large part of why I'm running.
Okay, thank you very much again, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you feel is a number one issue for your office?
Sure. So I alluded to it in my opening. We've lost a lot of trust in the processes over the last few years for several people. And so creating that genuine trust in the office and what we do, both with elections as well as with the business filings, because that's the office also handles all of our business filings for the state. I know that we have really great elections processes in place already. And I think that it's, there could be improvements made here and there. Always improvement. It just depends, technology is always going to continue to improve. We need to ensure that we have great systems in place that are protecting our private information, things like that. So, but protecting the integrity of our elections should be paramount, I think. And so creating that sense of trust around things, but it also, ensuring that our business owners feel the same way with their experiences with the office. So making sure that their information is that should be private is kept private, and that they're experiencing a high quality of satisfaction with the processes that we have in place. So we need to make sure that the processes are predictable and streamlined so that the experience is one of, again, building that trust within the office. Yeah.
Thank you again, Jennifer. How will you work to ensure Kansas elections are accurate, secure, accessible, and trusted by the public?
Well, so kind of goes hand in hand with what I mentioned before. We've got a lot of great processes in place, but we need to make sure that we have the resources there, that our county clerks, who actually are the ones hands-on administering our elections each time, that they have those resources in place in order to properly administer the elections. We've got to make sure that there's training, really great training involved for new election clerks, but also for those people who maybe have been doing something a certain way for a long time. And now, like, we're going to be rolling out a new voter roll maintenance system with whoever gets elected here. The office has been working on that contract for the last couple of years. And so, we need to make sure that that process, the training is there for being able to review the voter roll on a regular basis. It's done at the Secretary of State's office level, but also every county has a responsibility to review their voter roll on a regular basis too. So making sure that those people who've been in place for a long time understand and have the training that they need in order to work through that system, that sort of thing. But also, I think that encouraging participation is really important. You see a lot of people who come through with concerns about the election process as an election worker. And I remember a specific in 2022, there was a gentleman who came in and he expressed concern about people using machines to vote on. And so I told him, you can request paper, you can request a paper ballot. That's not a problem, and we'd be happy to give that to you too. And he said, yes, but it's everybody else is using the machine. And so I had to give him that one. And after a moment, I said, have you thought about working an election ever? It's a great experience. If you volunteer, you have to go for training one day, and then you work the actual election day, which of course is a long day, but it's a good experience, and you get paid for it. And he said, you know what? I've never thought about doing that. I think I might just go ahead and take you up on that. I love suggesting that to people who have questions about the process, because it's a great way to learn the answers to those questions, the hands-on, while at the same time providing a great service to your community. So, not everybody is able to do that. So again, having people there in place, the election clerks, the county clerks, people in the Secretary of State's office willing and ready to answer questions that people might have also will contribute to that secure, accessible, trustworthy process. Yeah.
Okay, thank you again, Jennifer. Question number 6. How will you balance election integrity with making it easy for eligible Kansans to register and vote?
Yeah. Um, it's a really good question. We hear something like this a lot on the trail. But I will say I think it kind of assumes that we give up one if we focus on the other. And I just think it's kind of a false choice. So Kansas is a really great example because we have our elections are both secure and accurate, but we also have really good accessibility. Um, I like to encourage people when it comes to their registration personally, just because I've seen some scenarios where people have come in, thought that they were registered because they went through the DMV or something like that, and they're not in the system. I like to encourage people to go through their county election office for their registration process specifically. But we do have online registration that you can do through the Secretary of State's office as well. And again, we have really great laws that are in place that provide for a good range of accessible uh, solutions to these things. They can be improved, of course, and that's why I think it's important to have someone in this office who has that experience of the hands-on administration of our elections, so that we can promote policies that won't restrict people, won't restrict our access, and make it harder for us to register to vote. And also to make changes because sometimes like when I moved from one place to another, I need to be able to change my address easily within my registration, right? Same thing with people who are moving from county to county or who have moved here from another state. We want to make that as easy as possible for them to be able to get through that registration process. And we have a lot of organizations that are out there, the League of Women Voters, and high school teachers. I've met a few high school teachers that actually take the time to walk their students through the process of registering to vote. So even if they aren't 18 yet, they see what they need to do, the steps they need to follow in order to get that registration taken care of. That's important that we have those systems in place, but the accessibility is still there, right? We have really great voter ID laws, for example. And I'm a fan of our voter ID laws. I think that it makes it easier for me as an election worker to check someone in, having that ability to just look at their ID. And the majority of people that do check in use their driver's license. But you can also use a concealed carry permit. You can use a school ID if that is um, distributed by a school like at KU or K-State. You can use a government worker ID. So we have a lot of different options in place for those folks who cannot afford to get a driver's license. They can get a free state ID identification card that they can apply for that can be used for voting. And so we do have a lot of laws that protect that integrity, but also provide for that incredible range of accessibility. And I'm going to continue to promote that personally because I want people to have access to our vote. Our vote. They need to. I want more people to vote. That's what my goal is.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Okay, get ready here for question number 7.
Right.
The Secretary of State also oversees business filings and other public records. How would you improve the services your office provides to Kansas businesses and citizens?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the main thing for me is as a small business owner, I have to do my filings through the office on a regular basis. And when you initially file as an LLC or an S corp, you have to go through those steps on it's a great online process that they have. They do require it to all be online. There was a time there, and there are some people who've been doing it for a long time, apparently, who would prefer to use paper. But fax systems and things like that have kind of gone the way of the dodo. So we're working to encourage people to get more online and make sure that they see how easy it is to get that taken care of through the system. But a main thing for me is I want to make sure that I'm, listening to what the concerns are of our, business people across the state. I want to hear from our frontline staff that are dealing with the concerns as well on a regular basis from folks. And so, it, going into a position like this, it's easy for me to say, I think I'm going to do this sort of thing, but I've never worked this job yet. So once I get in there, it's going to be that starting off with listening to our staff, connecting with the business community and hearing their concerns. I've heard from some folks that they don't like that we switch to a biannual filing system. They prefer that it's annual so that they have that reminder on a regular basis to do it. But as personally, I'm fine with the biannual system. We get plenty of notifications ahead of time about the deadline coming up. And so, but it's interesting to hear, that some people preferred it the old way. And so it really is important to take those considerations into mind when making changes or improvements. And I do think that the website could be improved a little bit. It was something that someone pointed out to me that I hadn't noticed until a couple of months ago. There's no search bar on the website anywhere. So you can just go to a specific place and type a word in and find everything related to that. So, simple tweaks like that, I think that we could make that will improve the processes and experiences for everybody. So, but I think a big part of it is putting on those listening ears, which obviously I have not. Being able to, talk like this. I am a rambler. And so I certainly appreciate the opportunity to answer these questions and hopefully it's been something that's helpful for folks.
Well, Jennifer, I sure appreciate you taking the time and giving us that information that will educate voters and help them make informed decisions on November the 3rd. So thank you very much for the time that you have taken, and we'll look forward to voting and see where we go.
Yeah, thank you so much for your efforts to help educate voters. Again, so important, and I'm really glad to be able to have this opportunity to participate. Thanks, Keith.